attention.
The best player against the world gets the best team in the world. We'll see who'll be the best in the series.
I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time.
Curry throws it up, Durant throws it down. James is 6 for 6 to open this NBA final. Golden State has responded with 8 straight points. Curry sets, fires, puts it up, bang! First half comes to an end in dramatic fashion.
The highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
Brady's going to line up a 3, and that one goes home. Curry for 3. Bang! Kevin Love from downtown. It's back to 1. Shot goes in for James. The lead for Cleveland.
Never look back. It's something standing in my way. I always push back.
They changed it to a block. Feeling James was moving. George Hill, big free throws here. Rebound goes to the Cavs. J.R. Smith brings it back out. Hill shot blocked. And we'll go to overtime. J.R. Smith thought they had the lead. The Thompson corner 3. Puts it in. Golden State survives in overtime to take game 1 of the NBA Finals.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Sports Center, LeBron and Mark playing nice for a change.
George Hill said yesterday that for him, Game 1 was the toughest loss in his entire career. How can you as a leader help lift a player like that who maybe hasn't been through it before?
Well, we both went through some of the same, emotions. It's one of the toughest losses I've had in my career as well. Just because everything that kind of went on with the game and the way we played, and obviously we all know what happened in the game. So it was a tough 24 hours, not only for G Hill but for myself, for our whole ball club, because we put ourselves in a great position to be successful. But like I said, give yourself a day. If you need to take 2 days, okay. But today you should feel excited about the opportunity to be better and be great, and move forward.
So you heard LeBron say the tough 24 hours. That's where I want to start tonight with our NBA insider, Brian Windhorst. Are the Cavs now moving ahead, focusing more on strategy for Game 2, Bri, or still the remnants of getting over the defeat from Game 1?
Subin, they're really trying to still get over it. If you really watch the footage, and I went back and did, of the huddle at the end of the fourth quarter after the J.R. Smith blunder, it was a difficult moment for the Cavs. They were looking to LeBron to lead for leadership, and LeBron was really upset. And maybe they would have lost either way, but I don't think that they rallied out of that huddle the way that they needed to compete in that overtime. What's got to be different in Game 2, and what the Cavs are trying to get to, is to be different coming into the Game 2, as opposed to the way they were coming out of that huddle. And that's what they've been focusing on. They tried to take their mind off it with an easy day yesterday, no formal practice. Today they had a film session that they tried to start turning the page on, looking to strategy. But as you could hear from LeBron there, it's still something they're talking about quite a bit.
No question. You did mention some of the focus here on Game 2, so let's look ahead, even though they're continually looking back and trying to get over it. What are some of the things when we get to tomorrow night that they're going to have to do, focusing on the floor for Game 2?
Yeah, so one of the things that they're going to come out and try to do a little bit better is, get off to a better start defensively, which is always a big focus on them. They let Steph Curry get going early in that game, and that's always something that you don't want to do. But also they want to find a way to get better also in transition defense. The Warriors were able to get out and press in transition. The Cavs did very well on the boards in the game, but part of the reason is they weren't getting back on defense, so that's also going to be a factor. The Cavs went over those techniques behind me inside Oracle Arena in their practice this afternoon.
No question, and we should mention, I think, for a lot of Cavs fans out there, if you're wondering, the officials for an NBA Finals game are usually posted about 9 a.m. local time the day of the game. No explanation needed exactly on why we're mentioning that. I'm sure Brian will keep his eye on that, and so will Cavs Nation. We'll see Brian Windhorst tomorrow night with Van Pelt after the game with the greatest post-game.
After possession.
It's just the way the game goes sometimes. It felt like we could have that one. Had a performance from LeBron that was just incredible.
I mean, it was epic. This is LeBron James. That's who he is. That's why he's the best player in the world. To do what he did tonight and then come up robbed is just not right.
Back to the NBA now, and teams typically focus on two things during the off days in between playoff games: adjustments to X's and O's and treating any noteworthy injuries.
The Warriors had two against the Cavaliers, one coming into the game and the other one happening early in the game. Klay Thompson went down after J.R. Smith slid hard into his left leg in the first quarter. Thompson went to the locker room, what was called a bruised left leg that needed retaping. He was back for the start of the second quarter, and apparently Klay was fine. He scored 24 points in the game, including 5 threes. More injuries, here's Shelly Smith.
Klay Thompson insists his pain tolerance is very high because his older brothers used to beat him up in the driveway. He was limping around the locker room after game 1, in which he was run into in the first quarter by J.R. Smith. And he was still limping Friday slightly as he left the facility. I had my knee replaced and I offered him my cane. He laughed and said no, he'd be fine. Steve Kerr says he's an incredible physical specimen. And indeed, he is the only Warrior to play in all 80 playoff games over the last 4 years. As for Andre Iguodala, Kerr said he is still doubtful for game 2.
You know, during his Hall of Fame career, LeBron James has had some strange misfortune in game 1s of NBA Finals. 2014 Heat Spurs. Remember the Heat when the AC broke?
It was some extreme conditions. I've never played in an NBA game like it was last night as far as the heat. It felt like the body failed me. So I was angry in the fact that, I couldn't help my team get over the hump.
So the Spurs won game 1 by 15 points that year. They won the series, their 5th championship, avenging the loss to the Heat the year prior.
And that was there. It was hot. Next season, LeBron back with the Cavs. Overtime game 1 against the Warriors and Kyrie Irving. Freak injury, breaking his kneecap. And Kyrie, just like that, done for the series.
It's very tough to see. I see how hard he worked these last, 8 days just to get himself to play at this level tonight. And, to see him walk out the locker room in crutches just now, it's a tough blow for our team.
Cavs lost game 1. LeBron averaged almost 36 points a game for the series, but without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. The Warriors won in 6, their first title in 40 years.
And then Thursday night, game tied, 4.7 seconds remaining. George Hill misses the free throw. J.R. Smith grabs it, and then for some reason, just dribbles out the clock with LeBron saying, dude, what?
We got to move on. This game is over and done with. We got our opportunities. I will never give up on JR. It's not my MO. I don't give up on any of my players, so any of my teammates.
Did you know if he knew the score?
I mean, LeBron he's going to stick for JR, but he ain't having that questioning. Again, LeBron issues in game 1, Jay.
For more, we welcome in 10-year NBA veteran Ryan Hollins. Okay, sir, what do you expect to see out of JR, LeBron, and the Cavs in game 2 tomorrow night?
Well, they're going to play better. And if you looked at game 1, they followed the perfect game plan. Whatever Ty Lue drew up, they did it to a T. 2 of my keys were pace and physicality, and they played at a pace that was comfortable for LeBron James to be able to play the whole game, and we saw that 51 points. And physicality, there's a team that actually played big and beat the team up on the glass. One thing they've got to do, though, Jay, is they have to hit open three-pointers. And one of the problems was when LeBron got in the hole and he scored, and once he saw 2 and he kicked out, they didn't hit those open threes. Part of that fix will be target passing. LeBron is a target passer. And if you watch that film, he was fouled on probably half of those passing attempts. And referees, much like players and much like coaches, watch film too. And those fouls will be called, and those guys will be locked and loaded, ready to hit open shots. And there's one guy going to be ready, J.R. Smith, I guarantee it, Jay.
I need a prediction for game 2. Who wins and why?
Cavaliers win because they're upset. They're upset. And there is probably one of the most masterful things I've seen, and this was much bigger than the 51 points by the LeBron James. I played against LeBron several times in playoff series, and there wasn't a word, there wasn't a bump, there wasn't a hit that we could have done to LeBron to get him off the game. So that was very calculated at the end. He started that team fight. He started that little scuffle. Why? Now you take the pressure off of JR. Now you rally the troops. Now you don't forget, Jay, who the enemy is. You don't forget the bad guys, which is the Warriors, and not our own teammates. It's not JR. We still have a series to play. Great move by LeBron.
Game 2 of the NBA Finals, LeBron's team's 4-4 all time. Ryan, thank you.
After possession after possession.
It's just the way the game goes sometimes. It felt like we could have that one. Had a performance from LeBron that was just incredible.
I mean, it was epic. This is LeBron James. That's who he is. It's like the best player in the world. To do what he did tonight and then come up robbed is just not right.
Well, you think T. Lue and LeBron were not happy after the game? What I'm about to show you is not going to make them any happier, that's for sure. The 2-minute report. I'm not sure if this is good or bad, but there is some accountability in the NBA. Durant, James, obviously this is the huge call in question they were both really upset about. LeBron said he had never read a play so right in his career. Ken Maurer called it a charge. The other official, Tony Brothers, called it a block. The NBA 2-minute report said that indeed the call was the correct call because LeBron was turning his body and moving into Durant when the contact occurred. So now you're in a situation where they basically said, replay showed LeBron James was not in a legal guarding position because he was turning his body and moving into Durant when contact occurred. Again, LeBron vehemently opposing this, saying he was well outside of the restricted area. Then we move on to this particular situation where LeBron is being held by Draymond Green. Eventually, LeBron would fire this ball to George Hill, and I think you know what happened after that. George would make one of two free throws. However, the 2-minute report said Green grabbing LeBron should have been called for a freedom of movement foul. That would have put LeBron at the line instead of George Hill. How different could the game have been with LeBron at the line instead of G. Hill? You never know. You know he made the first. And then obviously here on the second, look at Draymond Green already in the lane with a half a foot. But let's be honest, this is never called in any NBA regular season game, playoff or finals game. But you got to be obviously minute on the 2-minute report. Every little detail counts. If they would have called that, Hill would have taken yet another free throw and would have had a third chance, in a sense, to put the Cavs in front. None of that's going to make him feel better. SportsCenter's on the road at the finals. Dave McMenamin is our Cavs reporter. The one thing we didn't talk about there in the 2-minute report, there's so many things to talk about, Dave, is the Tristan Thompson ejection there in the last few seconds and what his status might be moving forward. What do you know about that?
Well, as much disappointment there was for the Cavs on Thursday night, on Friday they got some good news. No suspension for Kevin Love for being on the court when that altercation broke out. No suspension for Tristan Thompson for his role in pushing the basketball into Draymond Green after getting called for a flagrant 2 foul on Sean Livingston. His flagrant was downgraded to a flagrant 1. He was fined $25,000, and he will be eligible to play in Game 2.
Happy to be able to play. You know, the NBA got to do what they got to do in terms of finding. So at the end of the day, I want to be out there with my teammates, and I'll be able to do that Game 2. I did what I had to do in terms of, you know, speaking to the NBA and whatnot, but, you know, they made the right call by letting me play.
How does that affect you? I mean, do you think it's too much sometimes?
No, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't really bother me at all. Making himself look crazy. That's what makes it valuable to the Warriors in terms of bringing that toughness and that grit, so I don't blame him. Every team needs a guy like that.
When Tristan tells you to meet him outside, what's your reaction?
I can't meet him outside of here because I'll still get fined. But I can meet him in the streets any day. So, you know, you can say somebody meet you at the bus. I'm not. I keep taking care of my family, man. I can meet you at the bus. But, you know, the summers, you can meet anybody anywhere. So, all to meet me outside and meet me at the bus. Like, I ain't gonna give up no money for that. But, you know, if you want to see me somewhere else, that's fine. Anytime.
Tristan Thompson is one of just 6 players who have played in all 19 of the NBA Finals games between the Warriors and the Cavs over the last 4 years, including LeBron, JR, Steph Curry, and Sean Livingston, and Klay Thompson. Maybe that number will fall to 5 because Klay Thompson is dealing with a left leg injury heading into Game 2.
No question, Dave. We'll talk about his status here in just a moment. But before I let you go, obviously we've got to go back to the JR situation. It's going to be every piece of chatter until Game 2 tips off. I know you had an opportunity to talk with him. How did he change his explanation about what happened there in the final frantic seconds?
Yeah, so there's a video after Game 1 where LeBron's talking to JR, and JR appears to tell him, "I thought we were ahead." And so I asked JR today, did you tell LeBron I thought we were ahead? Because that is different than what you told reporters when you told us that I knew the score was tied. He said, I might have. I might have. Then he was pressed further about it. He said, you know what? I really can't be sure that I knew anything that was going on at the end of Game 1. Now, it's a tough quote to put out there, tough explanation. But he did say that, hey, I'm glad that I'm the guy who had to deal with this blunder versus any other of my teammates. I'm able to handle this. I'm equipped to handle it. I'm sure I'll bounce back. LeBron James called J.R. Smith the most resilient teammate he's ever played with.
No question about it. There is something to be said for personal accountability and culpability here. And J.R. is not running from it, even though we're not quite sure exactly what he means or what was said. That's our Dave McMenamin. We'll see him tomorrow night getting set for game 2. Now, Dave did mention the situation with Klay Thompson as well. Let's run into that. This was the first quarter of the first game, and obviously this could have changed the entire complexion of the finals. Curry with kind of a wild pass, inadvertently fallen onto by J.R. Smith, like he doesn't have enough going on already. We're beating him up the entire second. And then he falls on Klay Thompson, clearly accidental. Lower left leg contusion, knee injury. 45 minutes, came back to score 24. Shelly Smith on his status.
Klay Thompson limped to the podium Saturday, still feeling pain in his leg and ankle from a collision in Game 1.
I'm going to do everything I possibly can to play tomorrow.
Nothing to keep you off court?
I don't know.
How's the pain today?
It's not good. The more I watch that replay, it pisses me off. It's just...
What pissed you off?
I don't know. That's a tough play on the ball. And then just to tumble into somebody's legs like that. You gotta move past it, but it's life, and I'm gonna be better from it. It's just a minor setback, but I don't think it was intentional.
Thompson is one of the most durable Warriors, having played in all 80 of the team's playoff games over the last 4 years. And it's the finals. He says nothing will keep him away.